Female presenters are complaining that the BBC breaks you, though one was paid 139k. I mean, I'd consider being slightly broken for that. Lewis, I know you're a big fan of the BBC.
Yeah, it's not enough money for me. The BBC grinds you down, it breaks you. 4 female news presenters suing the corporation after missing out on top roles and taken off air tell Employment Tribunal that the selection process is rigged. And so these are 4 women between the ages of 48 and 50. I don't know who they are, really. Martine Crossall, Karen...
Croxall, yeah.
Crossall, Giannone, Kaisa Madeira, Anita McVeigh.
You need your reading glasses, Lewis.
Yeah, no, I can read it.
Some of them are right. Some of those were close.
Some of those, or whatever. And they're saying they were basically kicked out of their jobs and forced to employ. And now it's going to an employment tribunal. But when these people were given jobs, and they're saying it was horrible for the BBC to do this, but when these women were given jobs 20 and 30 years ago, there was some guy like you, possibly me, who says, we don't need this guy anymore. We can get a woman for work for less money. And I don't think that they complained about it.
Well, I'm a little sceptical, Steve, just because I'm less sceptical about the age aspect, but the sex aspect. I mean, the BBC's journalist trainee scheme has just been shown to be hiring 7 women out of every 10 people, meaning hardly any men, and a tiny percentage, 1 in 3 were white Britons. So it's been shown to be very biased towards women and towards non-white people.
Could I just join in on that point? My favourite thing about that article about the training course and where it's staffed, when they were asked if there are any white men there, the response was, we don't have that information. Wait a minute, just check your paperwork. You know how many white people are there? You know how many women are there? Do the maths.
Yeah, you do the math. Yeah, so I find it very hard to believe that the BBC uniquely, discriminates against women. There is this thing about pay, and it has been shown, I think, women are less likely to negotiate for higher pay because it's very sort of tough. They're too nice, basically. I mean, I'm too nice. Yeah. That's why mine's so low, but...
there are some cases, like, if you remember the Asda one, where the women who were working on the cashiers wanted to be paid the same as the people in the warehouses, and I think you could make a solid argument about, if you had to choose on a cold day which job you wanted, you didn't want to be out in the cold warehouse, so it would be right for one to be paid more than other. Legally, I'm wrong in that. The court found that they should be paid the same. But if you are a newsreader and you think you should be paid the same as someone else doing it, have your tribunal, fair enough. Like, have a crack at it, have a swing at it. I do think the BBC is doing something terrible by... This is when they merged BBC News and BBC World News, whatever that channel was called. They merged them into the one channel. So they had to lose some people, but my word, they've lost some good newsreaders. Martine's a really good newsreader. And have you seen some of the newsreaders on the weekends? I mean, I know you need to train new talent, but some of them could barely read. It's difficult to watch. It makes you turn off. Obviously, I know you turn off for other reasons. So there's something going on with the age side of it, because they've employed a lot younger newsreaders who are terrible.
But they're readers. I mean, you should be able to read.
Yeah.
I mean, so this is... I mean... Well,
do you want to have another swing at the names?
Well, they're like weirdly...
We do a lot more. We've got to be funny and suddenly learn 20 news stories. We don't have no training for this. Yeah. I'm coming up with funny jokes. I'm writing my own jokes. They're just reading. And they're getting paid 139k to read.
Is that what they said they were being paid?
One of them, yeah.
I didn't read the article.
Yeah, Martin Croxall said she revealed she was paid 139,000. It doesn't say, like, during what period. It could be the entire 20 years. I think it's probably, presumably, a year. Or was it as a payout? I think it was a year. What's strange to me is they've sort of been loitering while still presumably being paid. I could be completely wrong on that, but she's been late, sort of not on the telly for a year, but still discussing things with the BBC. How does it work, Steve? You've worked there before you were cancelled. How does it work? You're just like allowed to sort of be on the payroll for ages while you're not on the telly.
It's very difficult to get sacked from the BBC. I know there are some amazing stories of what people have done, and they're just unsackable. And if the BBC tries to get rid of someone, they just call a union and they go in and say, well, this person needs more training. They blame the BBC for the actions of the staff.
Yeah, I sympathise to an extent if they've been mistreated, and I wasn't there. But showbiz, media is a tough business. But that's the thing. The BBC is a job for life type of approach. You can't have a job for life in this business. I mean, I sort of work on the assumption we can go any day. I mean, should you really expect to have
It's not even a business. The BBC takes 160-something pounds a year from everybody, whether they like it or not. So it's not a business. It's what do they call that? A money laundering. Can't pay.
I mean, you're right. The licence fee needs changing. It's a ridiculous way of doing it. I don't think it makes it a Ponzi scheme or other insults, but the way it's funded is wrong.
And then going to the Employment Tribunal, which is such a British idea. The idea is every single time someone's fired, it's got to go to an Employment Tribunal, and it means that it could be called back.
Wow. An American accusing us of being too legalistic. We've truly hit rock bottom.